But he will hear it loud and proud every time he goes to a fishing port around the country, that fishers don't want to be sold out. Because for me, the Fisheries Bill confirms many of the fishers' worst fears, that access to waters will be determined based on the UK-EU negotiations. Now that doesn't fit with many of the narratives and the sound bites that we're seeing launched today, but it remains an inalienable truth about what is in the Fisheries Bill. That the fishing sector, because it's not just one industry, it's many industries all fishing in the same waters, is at risk of being sold out to automotive, to aerospace, to financial services as part of that wider single agreement. Now the fishers that I represent in Plymouth are very clear about what they want to see from the Fisheries Bill and what follows. And I am as well. I want to see our fishers get more quota. I want to see that industry be made more sustainable, both environmentally and economically. I want to see a greater distribution of quota between the really big multinational fishing boats and fishing companies and smaller boats. And I want to see a greater focus on bringing more people into the industry, having a coastal renaissance, especially in the small ports, of getting more people in work, because we know for every one job at sea, there's 10 jobs at shore. So I think, as well as looking at what could happen with Brexit and where this negotiations could go, although there are many of us that fear this to be the case, indeed there are many Conservatives who know fishing inside out who share the same fears, but for today we'll be talking about the sound bites. We need to make sure that we're having an industry that we can all be proud of in the future, that remains sustainable for the future. And that means making sure we're getting the investment in our ports that we need, making sure we're having more fish that's landed in our UK ports. So I want to see ministers use the powers they already have to adjust the licence conditions that says if you catch fish under a UK quota, that should be landed in a UK port. That could create a huge number of jobs overnight in ports big and small. Ports in Plymouth, ports in Scotland, ports along the east coast. We have a real opportunity to have a coastal renaissance if this has gotten right. Quota redistribution, landing fish caught under a UK quota in UK ports could all make a big difference. And that is the debate that we need to have. I know there will be big voices from the big fishing companies who don't want any quota redistributed, but when 6% of the quota provide 2/3 of the employment, and when one job at sea equals 10 jobs at shore, there is an opportunity to be seized here. I also hope that the Fisheries Bill will allow us to get in some of the detail around some of the areas that sometimes difficult to talk about, marine safety being one of those. Having represented a constituency where we've had fishers lost at sea in recent years, it is important that we look at areas where we can tighten marine safety. There's cross-party support for this, and I think there's an opportunity to work with government in order to get it. But there are things that the government is already getting wrong, which I think it's worth looking at. The Catch app is one example of that. If you have small fishers in your constituency, at this very moment, the new regulation that requires them to guess the weight of fish before they land it has kicked in. I challenge Boris Johnson or George Eustace to go on any small trawler and guess the weight of a fish. Record it accurately in the app while at sea, bearing in mind that you have to record it in whole kilograms, rather than a fish weighing 300 grams, it has to weigh a kilogram. But if you get it 10% wrong, above or below, it is a potential criminal offence because it's a breach of your licence. This isn't EU regulation. This is homegrown red tape and bureaucracy created by this government. Now there'll be lots of people who will look at suspicion, having a dodgy socialist like me, say there's something wrong with fishing. For all the fishing voices that I see in the audience, especially those from the Conservative Party, please speak to your fishers about the Catch app. Please ask them, is it having an effect on their ability to quickly land fish, to make sure they're doing it with the ILO conditions that will be coming in the future? Because guesstimating the weight of fish before you land it is red tape gone mad, and that is homegrown bureaucracy that this government's introducing. So let's have none of that. Let's work together on a cross-party basis. I look forward to working with George. I have a lot of time for him. He is what I call a good Tory. There are lots of them, indeed around fishing I see a lot of good Tories. Friends from Lowestoft and South East Cornwall in particular, that know the industry inside out. That expertise we need to make sure is on the Fisheries Bill committee. Our friend from Lowestoft may have done a good job of not getting himself on the committee for being so robust in scrutiny the last time round, but we need to make sure we have people that understand fishing scrutinising this bill, not just focusing on the sound bites. Because we have a climate emergency, We have an industry that could stand a chance to benefit as long as it's not sold out in trade negotiations, and we need to make the case for a coastal renaissance, a more sustainable industry, and if we get that, it won't just be fishers in Plymouth that benefit, it'll be fishers right around the country. So let's work together on a cross-party basis, but let's focus on the detail, not just the convenient sound bites that relate to Brexit, because fishers fish based on detail, not on sound bites. Thank you.